Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever watching this, welcome to a new vlog. In case you're new to this channel, check out the last video and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you like the content. In the last video, I had a cheeky clickbait about battery being dead. That was on this bike. And finally today the showroom guys were available. So I decided to head to the showroom and they are free to help me see if these brake pads would fit on the vehicle, and also learn something about fitting new brake pads onto the bike. I know a bit of it, but then knowing it from the technicians, the right torque settings and all are very important, and hence the reason I'm heading to the showroom to get that done. But today actually there was when I started the vehicle, the battery was kind of off. The display was turning on but not the ignition. So what I had to do was, there is a slight downhill near my house. So any vehicle, whenever the battery is not completely dead but partially down, you can actually put the bike in neutral, go downhill at 20 kilometers per hour or a speed, at which point when you put into second gear and turn the ignition switch, the bike will turn on. That's something I've seen in the GS Trophy as an exercise for people. How soon can you get the bike started?
And the teams are faced with a second special test of the day, and they're calling it the Push Start Challenge. Riders must start with a dead engine bike and manually bump start the bike to fire the engine. Distance counts. The shorter the distance, the higher the points. Let's check it out.
So that is something that helped me, otherwise the bike was not starting today. So I don't know if there was an issue in the battery, because I thought I've ridden it enough, like 30 minutes. I thought that was enough to recharge the battery, but apparently not, I guess. There were like numerous errors on the screen, and once I put it in gear, everything was fine. That's the thing with electronics, guys. Even the best of the electronics can fail. Like you see, this ABS is currently off. I don't know why. That should not happen, but needs to get that checked. Tire pressure seems to be slightly low. Need to get that checked at the next fuel station. I think whenever I go to the fuel station, that would be the first time I'm visiting a fuel station after a month, because I haven't taken any of my petrol or diesel vehicles. I think, yeah, I don't have any diesel vehicles. Even my generators are a petrol generator now. So I haven't taken any of my petrol vehicles outside in the last 1 month. So a petrol station visit would be quite rare for me. It's one day, watch for this space. Every vehicle around you will be electric. Hi, one of our subscribers. Thank you. హాయ్ చెప్తే చెప్పు వస్తావు. ఎట్లుంది పోర్టర్? ఓకేనా? ఇప్పుడు బిజినెస్ పికప్ అయిందా? ఓకేనా? సరే, చలో బాయ్. The last few months of growth has been amazing. Like each month I'm adding roughly 4,000 to 5,000 of new subscribers, so hoping to reach that 40k mark by the end of this year. That is my target. If I cross that, that would be a big achievement. And to all those, and in fact like 60% of the viewers haven't subscribed yet, so let me know what you think in the comment section if there is something I need to improve, because otherwise show some love and hit that subscribe button, guys. Can't wait for this flyover to be done, man. Open unda so chuddam. Once this flyover is done, this route will be amazing, man. There's so much of traffic on the main route that will be done. Anyway, we'll catch you guys once I'm inside the showroom. Hey guys, so the purpose of the visit yesterday to the showroom was done. We learned how to remove and install these brakes. Unfortunately, I didn't record it because in the workshop you can't record anything. And also got this new bash plate. There was a 50% off on the bash plate, so thought it was at a good price. The one I had earlier was a plastic one. There is an upgrade to that. Costed me total around 10,000, which I think is a good upgrade because usually bash plates go for 22,000, so that was a good upgrade for me. Besides that, nothing else. Now I know what to do, how to fix brake pads in case we are stranded on the road and something to do with brake pads. Anyway, the work here is done. We'll just head home. It was supposed to be actually yesterday, but the bike was inside. Me, Chaitanya, Sriman, we had some work outside, so we were stuck there. So had to come back today again to pick up the bike. Anyway, we'll catch you guys on the road. Hey guys, so yeah, finally got the bike back, and I also recharged the battery of the bike. I purchased actually a battery charger which connects to this DIN port. You see here. So the way the battery charger works is there is one end of the charger which plugs in there, and then the other end goes to a plug point, like a 5 amp or 15 amp plug point. There is also a jump start cable accessory given to that. Nice to see the bike in normal good condition again. It started up pretty easily, and we can actually do the comparison of the Tiger 900 Rally Pro and the BMW now, because that's kind of fresh in the memory, even though it's been almost a week since I rode the Tiger 900. Under 4,000, 5,000 RPM, I think the 850, because of its twin cylinder nature, has more grunt to it. But in terms of ride quality, handling, weight, I think I would give the Tiger 900 quite a few points above this. But in terms of just fun within the 4,000 to 5,000 RPM, which is usually the common RPM that people use, and in that RPM the 850 has more grunt. So if you're cruising around 110, 120 kilometers per hour, 4,000 to 5,000 RPM is where you are mostly at, and in that RPM I feel the 850 has good amount of grunt. That's why the Tiger 900, the new Tiger 900, has a different firing order. It's I think 231 or 3 something like that, where it sounds like a twin and behaves like a twin cylinder at low RPMs, and then a triple at the mid and higher RPMs. Didn't feel it much. It changed the character of the bike, more peppy under lower RPMs, but not as much as the 850, because this is purely at the core of it, this is a twin cylinder throughout the rev band. And heat management is way much better on this than the 900, because the position of the vents is better. But even this can improve a lot, because the front suspension is not adjustable. If that is there, I think this is a better overall bike. And this has dynamically adjustable suspension, and you can change it from the dash itself, whereas the 900 you have to change it manually. It's not electronic. The reason I purchased the battery charger is because there were 2-3 instances recently, one on the Streetwin and on this, when I discharged the battery accidentally and it was completely dead. So I had to take the battery to a shop and do it. It's always a nice thing to have in hand. You might find better battery chargers, the one slow chargers especially, for like 3,000 or 4,000 online in Amazon. But the good thing with this is it connects to the DIN port. I thought that's a nice handy thing, because I don't need to remove the seat or connect it to the battery. Sometimes connecting to the battery can be tricky, especially when it's raining, and if people connect the wrong terminals, that's gonna be a disaster. Connecting through DIN is safer and easier. Oh man, there's a lot of wind today. I hope you can hear the audio clearly. But lovely weather, man, lovely weather. Around 30 degrees right now. Nice cloudy conditions to ride actually. But this COVID I don't know where we can ride and when we can ride. When we were replacing the brake pads yesterday on this bike, I realized that the brake pads had a lot bit of life left, even though this bike has ridden almost 7,500 kilometers, out of which 6,000 is for the Sikkim trip and 1,000 for the running in during the first month. And in that sense, I was pretty impressed by the Brembo brakes life. Usually they run out fast compared to EBC, but to fit the brake pads on my own, I think I would need some tools, the sockets and the wrenches. Anyway, almost home guys, so we'll catch you guys in a short while at home. The battery level was almost 20%, and tomorrow morning I had some work, so instead of charging at home because it was slightly raining. I can still do that, but it's going to take 8 hours, and tomorrow morning at 10:30, 11 I need to be somewhere else, so I thought I'll just come to the fast charger here and charge the vehicle. So currently the vehicle is being charged. This is the 25 kilowatt charger that they have, and it's pretty easy to charge actually. Let's get into the vehicle and see how the charging is done. So those are the indicators that you get. When I came in, the charging was 16% and 39 kilometers. So that's how the indication is for fast charging. It already did like 5% within 2-3 minutes. Unfortunately, there is only an Android app, but not an iPhone app. So it already charged 1 kilowatt, and elapsed time is 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes, it charged by 5%, which is pretty fast, right? I think with 50 kilowatt fast charger that Fortum has in the MG showroom, it would charge much faster. So we'll try it, but we need to pay for that. This is free right now. That you have to pay. We'll check it sometime later. But for now, this is how the charging works, guys. We'll sit here for maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, and then head back home.
A few moments later.
It's been stuck at 95% for the last 5 minutes, but in the last 1 hour it charged from 17% to almost 16% to almost 95%. That's almost 80% of charge in 1 hour, and I think that's good enough for fast charging. That's enough for my requirements. If these come in highways, I think you can do long distance. If it's just in the city, I think that's 15 minutes stop up should be fine. But in highways, I think 1 hour is typically where we stop for lunch, chai or something. That would be amazing on the highways. So imagine on the way to Bangalore, if you have at Kurnool and Anantapur 2 stops like this, you can go all the way to Bangalore from Hyderabad in an electric car, which has a range of only 200 to 225 kilometers, realistic range. Anyway, I'll disconnect the charger. So first thing that I'll be doing is stopping the charge. Yeah, once you have that notification, you can just unplug it. So that's it, guys. That's how fast charging is done. There's a Tata Motor dealership. So that's the range, guys. From my experience, I drove the last discharge in almost entirely in sports mode. Once it gets to 75%, 25% of battery level, you won't have the sports mode, so it goes back to drive mode. And if you hit traffic, the range improves quite a bit. So if you throttle the pedal aggressively in sports mode, the worst range that you can get is 125. The best range, if you keep it in drive and you have a lot of traffic, the range improves to almost 225 to 250 kilometers, as you saw on Instagram in some of my stories. So that's a wide range of usage conditions, but if you're driving nicely, calmly in regular drive mode, just for city traffic, if you're nice on the pedal, expect to recharge around 175 kilometers, because that's when you have a buffer of around 30 to 40 kilometers or 20% of charge left. Once it hits 20%, I think that's the time to recharge, because you don't know how far you have to go. And in sports mode, that figure comes down to 125 kilometers. So it's forget about the kilometers, always focus on the percentage and what the driving conditions are going to be. So anywhere between 125 kilometers to 225 kilometers, that's the range, the minimum and the maximum range you can get in this car. So that's it for now. Heading back home. In case you're watching this at night time, have a good night, take care, and catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.